صلوات بر محمد وآل محمد. حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین حسین الشہید الشہید الحسین حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین حسین الشہید الشہید الحسین. دہائی دہائی خدا را دہائی یہ داشت بلا میں ہے کیسی تباہی. بہایا ہے کس نے یہ خون محمد قیامت یہ ڈائے ہے کس نے الہی. جوانوں بزرگوں کو مارا گیا ہے شہیدوں میں شامل ہے ننھا سپاہی. حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین حسین الشہید الشہید الحسین. کیا جشن برپا یوں اہل حواس نے شہیدوں کے لاشوں پہ ڈنکے بجائے. جلا ڈالا آل محمد کے خیمے سکینہ کے منہ پر تماچے لگائے. جو بیمار تھا اس کا بستر نہ چھوڑا نبی زادیوں پر بھی درے چلائے. سب مل کر گئے حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین حسین الشہید الشہید الحسین حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین حسین الشہید الشہید الحسین. اٹھی اپنی مرکد سے بنت محمد سیاہ شب کی چادر میں چہرہ چھپا کر گئی کربلا میں. تو اس نے یہ دیکھا ہے بوسیدہ کرتے میں ایک لاش بے سر بدن سارا تیروں سے چھلنی پڑا ہے. لہو میں ہے ڈوبا ہوا سارا بہہ کر. حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین حسین الشہید الشہید الحسین. تڑاپ کر وہ چلائی شبیر بیٹا لہو میں نہائے ہو سر بھی جدا ہے. تبر کس نے مارے ہے سارے بدن پر یہ تیروں پہ کس نے جنازہ رکھا ہے. کہا میرا لال اب یہ عباس بولو میں پوچھوں گی اس سے یہ کیسے ہوا ہے. حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین حسین الشہید الشہید الحسین حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین حسین الشہید الشہید الحسین.
بار دیگر نعرہ صلوات. مرحوم زاہد فتح پوری کے 4 مصرے سے آغاز ہے. درود پڑھیے ایک اور محمد و آل محمد پر. اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. جمال عشق و محبت کائنات عباس. جمال عشق و محبت کائنات عباس. کمال عزم و عمل پیکر وفا عباس. کمال عزم و عمل پیکر وفا عباس. لبے فرات وہ جوہر دکھا دیے تو نے. لبے فرات وہ جوہر دکھا دیے تو نے. علی کی روح پکاری کے مرحبا عباس. جمال عشق و محبت کائنات عباس. محمد و آل محمد صلوات. اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. ایک اور درود پڑھیے محمد و آل محمد پر. اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. امام حسین کی شان میں ایک سوز. امتحان عاشقی میں کیف پاتے ہیں حسین. امتحان عاشقی میں کیف
سیف پاتے ہیں حسین، انتہائی مشکلوں میں مسکراتے ہیں حسین، انتہائی مشکلوں میں مسکراتے ہیں حسین۔ لا فتح الا علی، لا سیف الا ذوالفقار، لا فتح الا علی، لا سیف الا ذوالفقار۔ ارے پڑھتے جاتے ہیں فرشتے، بڑھتے جاتے ہیں اے حسین، امتحان عاشقی میں۔ محمد وآل محمد صلوات۔
اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل
محمد۔ فاتحہ۔ محمد وآل محمد صلوات۔ گھر سے جب بہر سفر سید عالم نکلے، گھر سے جب بہر سفر سید عالم نکلے، سر جھکائے ہوئے بادیدائے پرنو نکلے، خویش و فرزند پرابند کے باہم نکلے، رو کے فرمایا کہ اس شہر سے اب ہم نکل، رات سے گریہ اماں کی صدا آتی، ارے دیکھ قسمت ہمیں کس دشت میں لے جاتی ہے، دیکھ قسمت ہمیں کس دشت میں لے جاتی ہے، رخ کیا شاہ نے سوئے قبر شہنشاہ، بہر تسلیم جھکے متصل باب سلام، اذن پا کر جو گئے قبر کے نزدیک، عرض کی آیا ہے آج آخری رخصت کو غلام، یہ مقام ہم سے اب اے شاہ زمن چھوٹا، آج حضرت کے نواسے سے وطن چھوٹا ہے، آج حضرت کے نواسے سے وطن چھوٹا ہے، چین سے اب ہے گھروں میں ہمیں ملتا نہیں چین، سخت مشکل میں پھنسا آپ کا یہ نور العین، ٹکڑے دل ہوتا ہے جب رو کے حرم کرتے ہیں بین، ننھے بچوں کو بھلا لے کے کدھر جائے، شہر میں چین نہ جنگل میں امان ملتی، ارے دیکھیے قبر مسافر کو کہاں ملتی، دیکھیے قبر مسافر کو کہاں ملتی، یہ بیاں کر کے جو تحویز سے لپٹے سر، یوں ہی قبر کے تھرائی ذریعے انور، آئی تربت سے یہ آواز حبیب، تیری غربت کے میں صدقے میرے مظلوم پہ سر، کوئی سمجھانا میری گود کا پالا تجھ، اور ہائے آدان مدینے سے نکالا، ہائے آدان مدینے سے نکالا، کئی دن سے تیری مادر کو نہیں قبر میں چین، آئی تھی شب کو میرے پاس یہ کرتی، گھر میرا لٹ گیا ہے فریاد رسول ثقل، صبح کو اپنا وطن چھوڑ کے جاتا ہے حسن، کہنے آئی ہوں کہ منہ قبر سے موڑوں گی میں، اپنے بچے کو اکیلا تو نہ چھوڑوں گی میں، گھر سے جب بہرے سفر سید عالم نکلے،
صلوات محمد وآل محمد پر۔
Assalamu alaikum. Let's begin with a loud salawat. As you know, every night before I begin, let's please have all the youth scoot up all the way to the front before we start, just because we're expecting a lot of brothers in a few minutes. So please, everybody, loud salawat, and please have all the youth move up to the front. Just a quick announcement. There is a Lincoln car with the license plate CT54202. Again, that's CT54202. It's parked wrong, so please remove it as soon as possible. Who is Hussein, as you know, does their annual blood drive. And Who is Hussein needs volunteers for their blood drive. So Thursday night, right after the English Majalis, Who is Hussein will have a volunteer workshop in this legacy hall. So please attend that. Starting tomorrow night, the Ziyarat of Tabud and Alam will start tomorrow night on 5th of Muharram. And just like every night, the Majalis will be in this hall, in the legacy hall, the English Majalis. And then once again on Ashura, both the Majalises, the day Shahadat Majalises will be both in the new hall. And then everything will be here again in Sham al-Ghariba. Once again, like I've been announcing, there's an IEC Kids Muharram workshop for the ages of 4 to 7 years old. It's downstairs. It's going to be going on till 7th Muharram at 8:30 p.m. sharp. And then this Friday is Hazrat Ali Asghar Day. And so mothers, please bring your kids by wearing iconic clothes of Hazrat Ali Asghar and a red headband. And as I've been announcing each night, Sheikh, Abbas, Panju's topic for each night, today the topic is chapters from the biography of Hazrat Habib ibn Madahir. And then tomorrow it will be Ashura and the concept of Imam Hadi. Alayhi salam. Once again, please take an opportunity to visit the Sabil of Imam Hussain outside after the Majlis. And with this being said, I'd like to welcome our honorable guest speaker, Sheikh Abbas Panju. Please welcome him with a loud salawat.
رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة بسم الله الرحمن أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله بارئ الخلائق الأجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء حبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد ثم الصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما ولي الله الحجة ابن الحسن صاحب الأمر والزمان اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين إلى قيام يوم الدين آمين رب العالمين صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة يا غريب الغرباء يا مظلوم كربلاء السلام على من جعل الله الشفاء في تربته السلام على من الإجابة تحت قبته السلام على ساكن كربلاء فيا ليتنا ثم يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي يا سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. In the ziyarah of the shuhada of Imam al-Hussein, we address them by saying, Assalamu alaykum ya awliya Allahi wa ahibba'ih. طبتم وطابت الأرض التي فيها دفنتم وفزتم فوزا عظيما. نوروا مجالسكم بذكر محمد وآل محمد. You find that the Ma'soom Imam teaches us to address the shuhada of Ashura in the most grandest of manners. And you find over here in this ziyarah of the shuhada, we address these grand companions by saying, Assalamu alaykum ya awliya Allah. Awliya, the plural of the word wali. Yani each and every one of the shuhada of Karbala had reached such a maqam that the Ma'soom Imam refers them to be a wali from the awliya of Allah. This term waliyullah is a term that is given. Perhaps if you were to look at this term from a Quranic perspective, this term waliyullah is restricted for the Anbiya and for the successors of the Anbiya. Yet the Ma'soom Imam states to teach us the maqam of these 72 shuhada, that they are within the ranks of the Anbiya and the successors of the Anbiya. Assalamu alaykum ya awliya Allahi wa ahibba'ih. Those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves. And you find that from amongst these grand companions of Imam al-Hussein, who changed the course of history in a manner that no other human being has able to have such an impact on the course of mankind. You find from these 72 companions, one stands out, who is known as Sheikh al-Ansar, Habib ibn Madahir al-Asadi. And his entire biography, if you were to glance through it, shows you how he spent his life in the dedication and in the service of Ali Muhammad. And perhaps if Allah Azza wa Jal gives us a chance and an opportunity in the future, we could discuss certain aspects of the biography of Habib ibn Madahir and his contribution towards the growth and the establishment of Tashayyu' and his affiliation with Ahlul Bayt from the time of from the time of Rasulullah all the way till the time of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. This part of the biography of Habib ibn Madahir is filled with gems and treasures of wilayah. However, for the purpose of tonight's majlis, I would like to focus by way of index contributions and glimpses of the stances that Habib ibn Madahir, Sheikh al-Ansar al-Shaheed, the stances that he took from the beginning of the revolution of Imam Muslim ibn Aqil all the way till the time that he was Shaheed on the day of Ashura at the time of Salatul Dhuhr. And with this, Ahibba'i, there is ma'rifah of Habib ibn Madahir. The goal behind this majlis tonight is that you gain ma'rifah of Habib ibn Madahir, such that the next time you go to Karbala al-Muqaddas and you stand in front or you bow down in front of the shrine of Habib ibn Madahir, you know to a certain extent the value of the person whose ziyarah you're performing. Number one. And number two, because these are our role models from the life of Habib ibn Madahir and the stances that he took in his life, you become motivated and you begin to understand what do I need to do, what qualities do I need to refine within myself in order to be from amongst the Ansar and the Ashab of the Imam Zaman of my time. I don't say that we can ever be like Habib. We cannot even be like the dust under the feet of Habib. But we can learn from Habib what we need to refine in our lives in order to be from amongst these promised 313 and the thousands that will be under the 313. All of this, we begin with the barakat of a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ahibba'i, in this journey of ma'rifah of Habib ibn Madahir, we begin by way of index and looking at the stances. Number one, from the time of the revolution of Imam Muslim ibn Aqil. Historians narrate that upon the death of Muawiyah al-La'in, historians have stated that the people of Kufa wrote letters to Imam al-Husayn in the thousands. From amongst the first people to write letters from Kufa to Imam al-Husayn was the like of Habib ibn Madahir. And the first letter to be written by the Kufans was actually a joint letter written by Habib ibn Madahir, Sulaiman ibn Sard, and Rufa'a ibn Shaddad. These are three companions who are from one of the most loyal and staunchest companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And the gist of the letter that was signed by Habib ibn Madahir is that they wrote to Imam al-Husayn and they said to him, peace be upon Allah, the Lord of the universe, who has freed this dunya from the oppressor and the tyrant Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. And Habib then goes on to say, or the letter goes on to say, that there is no imam for us. We do not accept anyone as our imam over here in Kufa. Faqdim ilayna, faya Aba Abdullah, come towards Kufa. We shall take you to be an imam. And perhaps through you, Allah can guide us all towards haqq. And then Habib ibn Madahir says, or the letter which is signed by Habib ibn Madahir and Sulaiman ibn Sard, states something very important that allows you to understand what happened in the background amongst the Shias of Ali Muhammad even before Muslim ibn Aqil came to Kufa. They say, for Nu'man ibn Bashir, the letter says, for Nu'man ibn Bashir fi Dar al-Imara, the governor at that time was Nu'man ibn Bashir. They say that he is secluded inside the Darul Imara, and we do not recite the Salatul Jum'ah behind him, and neither do we celebrate our Eid with him. Meaning that upon the death of Muawiyah, Shufu, history is so important. Muawiyah died when? 15th of Rajab, 60 AH. 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 Muslim bin Aqil, Imam Muslim bin Aqil leaves Makkah to come to Kufa on the 15th of Shahrul Ramadan. So between Shahrul Rajab and between Shahrul Ramadan, Habib ibn Madahir and Sulaiman ibn Sard are telling Imam al-Husayn, we have already begun with a revolution inside of the city of Kufa, and this revolution begins by us boycotting the Salatul Jum'ah inside of Kufa. This boycott of Salatul Jum'ah is a mawqif and a stance. But when you refuse to recite Salatul Jum'ah behind Nu'man ibn Bashir, and you have made this a public stance, meaning what? You have attacked the adala of the Imam al-Jum'ah, the Imam al-Jama'ah. We don't see him as being somebody befitting to lead us from within the religious circles. And this in itself was a mawqif and a stance of opposition that was taken by Habib ibn Madahir. This is number one. Number two, the historians narrate that when Imam al-Husayn sent Imam Muslim bin Aqil to Kufa in order to verify whether the sentiments that were found within the letters that were written from the people of Kufa, and you know from the previous lecture that those who wrote to Imam al-Husayn from the city of Kufa, not all of them were Shia. The Shia were the minority. Ba'at Thabit from the last lecture. So Imam al-Husayn sends Imam Muslim bin Aqil, go and verify in Kufa whether the sentiments of the people on the ground match the sentiments of the letter. The narrations mention that as soon as Muslim bin Aqil Imam came to Kufa, he came and he lived as a guest. He stayed in the house of Mukhtar al-Thaqafi. And as he came into the house of Mukhtar, remember, Imam al-Husayn had instructed Imam Muslim bin Aqil to keep his affairs in secrecy. Because every revolution that will be fruitful has to start with some element of secrecy attached to it. So Imam Muslim bin Aqil comes to the house of Mukhtar, and one of the first people to greet Imam Muslim bin Aqil and give bay'ah to him was Habib ibn Madahir and another companion by the name of Abbas al-Shakiri. Abbas al-Shakiri, Bain al-Qawsayn, is Jadir. Insha'Allah, in the future we have opportunities to talk about the shakhsiyat, to talk about the personalities of each and every one of these companions. Sarahatan, these 72 individuals, the level of iman and the personality that you have. Do you know Abbas, one of the first people who came to the house of Mukhtar with Habib ibn Madahir? Abbas al-Shakiri was from one of the most staunchest companions of Amirul Mu'mineen. In the battle of Siffin, Amirul Mu'mineen looked at Abbas. Abbas was eventually shaheed in Karbala. Amirul Mu'mineen says to Abbas in the battle of Siffin, after the heroics of Abbas, he says to him, if there were 30 people like you, Ya Abbas, 30 people like you, I would have taken my right in Saqifa. You get this Abbas in terms of courage, in terms of loyalty. Abbas is that example. Abbas is that example of junoon and ishq when it comes to Imam al-Husayn. I didn't just say ishq. Junoon when it comes to Imam al-Husayn. Because ishq takes you to this level of junoon. And it is shown to us by Abbas. You know, on the day of Ashura, when Abbas went into the battlefield, after all the general attacks, and they went on single combats, Abbas walked into the Maidan. Imam al-Husayn's army, around the number, approximately half of them have become shaheed. Abbas goes, stands in front of the army in the Maidan. Thousands upon thousands. The Maqtal says that you would look at the army, the front line of the army of Yazid, and you would see as if an army stretching into the horizon. Hungry, thirsty for 3 days, spent the entire morning in battle. Abbas comes into the battlefield wearing a helmet, wearing an armor with a sword in his hand. He looked at the army. This is what ishq of Imam al-Hussein does to you. This is what junoon of Imam al-Hussein does to you. The Maqtal says he looked at the army, stared them in the eye, removed his helmet, removed his breastplate, threw his sword and attacked the enemy. When the enemy saw Abbas running towards them without any weapon, without any protection, the haiba of Abbas, the enemy ran away from Abbas. It is only over here that Umar ibn Sa'ad said, and they had tried, they had seen the strength of Abbas in the battle of Siffin. Umar ibn Sa'ad says to the army, woe be upon you! If you do not have the courage to face him, then gather around him and throw stones at him. Because no one was willing to come close to Abbas. The person in this mode that you and I would say mental to enter into the battlefield in this way. People are clad in armory from top to bottom. There were contingencies of the army of Yazid, horsemen that were covered in iron. You could not see a part of their body. Abbas removes his shield and armor and breastplate and runs into them. They couldn't. So they started throwing stones at him from every direction. And they pelted him with stones to the extent that he was covered in wounds, rahmatullah ya Abbas, from head to toe. When he fell down, Umar ibn Sa'ad came to him. He said, Abbas, did you not think when you came into the Maidan that you threw your breastplate away, you threw your helmet away, you threw your weapon away, and you came charging? Did you not think? Were you not scared of the pain that we would inflict upon you? This is junoon, this is ishq. You know Abbas's reply? He says, the pain that a lover feels in the way of his beloved is nothing but sweetness. Pain in the way of Imam al-Hussein for me is sweetness. Hi Abbas, this is what ishq of Imam al-Hussein does to you. This is what wilaya does to a person. It raises them to a level that they are greater than the confinement of their bodies. This is ishq. So likes of Abbas, coming back to our lecture, it was the likes of Abbas and Habib ibn Madahir who were the first people to welcome Muslim ibn Aqil to the city of Kufa. And when they saw Muslim, they began to weep. And they gave bay'ah to Imam Muslim ibn Aqil. And know that Habib ibn Madahir, when he met Muslim bin Aqil, they embraced each other for a very long time when Muslim came to Kufa. This is because Habib ibn Madahir and Muslim bin Aqil have a long friendship and have a long history. Habib ibn Madahir and Muslim bin Aqil had friendship from the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen, because both Habib and Imam Muslim bin Aqil had fought together under the flag of Amir al-Mu'mineen in the battle of Jamal, in the battle of Siffin, and in the battle of Nahrawan. So Habib and Muslim knew each other from the Khilafat of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, and they stood shoulder to shoulder during the Sulh of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba together with Muawiyah. For it was almost like a homecoming, this friendship and these bonds of wilaya between these two individuals. And it is based on this long-standing trust and friendship and bond of wilaya that Muslim bin Aqil then appointed Habib bin Madahir to be in charge of gathering the people in the city of Kufa and taking bay'ah for Muslim bin, on behalf of Muslim bin Aqil. It was the responsibility of two people to gain bay'ah. Habib ibn Madahir and Muslim ibn Aqil. Muslim ibn Aqil is also from the Shuhada of Karbala. By the way, between brackets, Habib ibn Madahir, today, I was going through the Maktal and I found this point that Habib ibn Madahir and Muslim ibn Aqil were actually first cousins. They were from the same tribe. Both of them were Asadi. For in any case, so you find from the contributions or the stances of Habib ibn Madahir from the time of the revolution of Imam Muslim bin Aqil, he was one of the first people to write a letter to Imam al-Husayn. He was one of the first people to boycott the Salatul Jum'ah under the governorship of Nu'man ibn Bashir. When Imam Muslim bin Aqil came to Kufa, he was one of the first people to welcome Muslim bin Aqil and give bay'ah when he was in the city of Kufa. Number 4, Habib ibn Madahir was in charge of seeking bay'ah from the people of Kufa on behalf of Imam Muslim bin Aqil and rallying the masses. Number 5. See, when Imam Muslim bin Aqil was betrayed in the city of Kufa, unfortunately, history has not done 1 ounce of justice to Imam Muslim bin Aqil. And let me try and make this a little bit clear for you by way of an example. You pick any political event that perhaps you have witnessed in your life. Any political event in which war or invasion or something is involved. You've heard of the term that is called media blackout? You heard of this term, media blackout? Where some sort of political event is going on, or a war is happening, or an invasion is happening, and the entire media is cut out from the reality. So the rest of the world has no idea what exactly is happening. The authors, the historians of Bani Umayyah and Bani Abbas created a media blackout that has given us a massive void in terms of understanding what exactly happened prior to the betrayal of Imam Muslim bin Aqil. And you will find, after great research and a lot of effort, snippets of what happened during the time of Muslim bin Aqil. Subhanallah, from the books of the Amma as well as the books of the Khassa. If you understand this, that we are analyzing history within the context of a media blackout and are relying on snippets of truth that are scattered within hundreds of different texts. Ahibbai, do you know that Imam Muslim bin Aqil coordinated and led a full-fledged revolution against Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad before he was betrayed? You refer back to the books of history. When Hani ibn Urwa was arrested, Muslim bin Aqil actually prematurely, out of his wisdom, and his wisdom is a wisdom that was granted to him by a Ma'soom Imam, so there is no fault in the judgment of Muslim bin Aqil. But Muslim bin Aqil, because, see, what did Imam al-Husayn say in his letter? Inni ba'ithun ilaykum akhi wa ibn ammi wa thiqati, my trustworthy ambassador, meaning that he's got a level of isma, a level of infallibility in regards to his judgment. Hence the Ma'soom Imam trusted him. Muslim bin Aqil, upon the arrest of Hani ibn Urwa, Muslim bin Aqil announces revolution. Do you know, there was an entire army that was mobilized by Imam Muslim bin Aqil that was separated as per the geographical setup of the city of Kufa. And from this army that was mobilized by Imam Muslim bin Aqil, one part of the army, Muslim ibn Aqil was in charge of it. A second part of the army, Abu Thumama was in charge of it. A third part of a military contingency In Kufa, the commander was Habib ibn Madahir. He was in charge of the Asadi and the Tamim square of Kufa that would then attack the Darul Imara of Ibn Ziyad. In fact, Sayyid ibn Tawus, one of our Shia scholars, within his Maqtal al-Luhuf, discusses the war of Muslim ibn Aqil by saying, فَإِقْتَتَلَ أَصْحَابَهُ يعني أصحاب ibn Ziyad wa ashab Muslim. They were engaged in warfare. In fact, if you go into the book Muthirul Ahzan, which is authored by Ibn Nama al-Hilli, he goes on to mention فَإِقْتَتَلُوا قِتَالًا شَدِيدًا. They were engaged in a warfare that was absolutely intense. Habib ibn Madahir was commanding an entire contingency. And it is during this war that then the people began to betray Muslim ibn Aqil one by one. The army and the contingency of Habib ibn Madahir became diluted. Muslim ibn Awsaja, like this, like that, until the time of Salatul Maghrib. Imam Muslim bin Aqil goes into Masjid al-Kufa to recite the Salat, and after Salatul Isha, everybody's disappeared. The likes of Habib ibn Madahir and the likes of Muslim ibn Awsaja and Abu Thumama as being commanders of their contingencies had all deserted and betrayed them. So Imam Muslim bin Aqil gathers these close companions and he says to Habib and Muslim, now your responsibility is not to protect me. Your responsibility is to get to Karbala and protect Sayyid al-Shuhada. So what happened? Habib was given instructions, Ibn Madahir and Muslim ibn Awsaja, by Imam Muslim bin Aqil to move towards Imam al-Husayn. However, this is a question mark over here, and this allows you to understand the reality of what happened and the jihad of Habib ibn Madahir. When did Muslim bin Aqil become Shaheed? Yawmul Arafah, Sahih Lola, 8th of Dhul Hijjah. When did Habib actually reach Karbala? According to a number of historians, on the 6th of Muharram. Which means that it took Habib ibn Madahir almost 1 month, 28 days to go from Kufa to Karbala. But if you look at the distance between Kufa to Karbala, which is about 80 or 90 kilometers, even during that time, the travel distance or the travel time between Kufa to Karbala was half a day by camel. Half a day by camel. And the proof for this is what? On the 11th of Muharram, when the women of Ali Muhammad were taken as prisoners, they were put on camels, they left Karbala at the time of Salatul Dhuhr. The Maqtal mentions they reached the border, the outskirts, yani the gate of Kufa at night. So it was a half-day travel. Now if it is a half-day travel, how did it take Habib ibn Madahir almost 30 days to go from Kufa to Karbala? Historians have uncovered that as Habib ibn Madahir was leaving Kufa upon the instructions of Imam Muslim bin Aqil, Habib ibn Madahir and Muslim ibn Awsaja were both arrested by members of their own tribe, Bani Asad, and were put under house arrest, compulsory house arrest, because the tribes came, the leaders of the tribes came, the elders of the tribes came. They said to Habib and Muslim, you have caused enough trouble with Muslim bin Aqil, and we do not want Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad to execute the entire tribe because of you two. So he put them under house arrest. And from the time of Arafah, Yawmul Arafah, up till the end of Dhul Hijjah, Habib ibn Madahir was under house arrest by his own tribe until the 2nd of Muharram. So now Habib ibn Madahir is under house arrest. Shufu this jihad of Habib before even he came to Karbala. 2nd of Muharram, Imam al-Husayn reaches the land of Karbala. Imam al-Husayn writes 2 letters. One letter to his brother Muhammad ibn Hanafiya in Medina, and he wrote a second letter to Habib ibn Madahir. And it is by way of miracle that the letter that was written by Imam al-Hussein got to Habib ibn Madahir, because that entire area between Kufa to Karbala was filled with checkpoints and police and army and so on and so forth. The letter comes. Habib is under house arrest in his house. The historians mention Habib opened the letter. Look at the way. This makes you realize the qadr and the azama and the status of Habib ibn Madahir. He writes, Imam al-Hussein writes in the letter addressing Habib ibn Madahir, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, min Husayn ibn Ali ila al-rajul al-faqih Habib ibn Madahir al-Asadi. From Husayn ibn Ali to this grand scholar Habib ibn Madahir. And يصور the daraja of Habib ibn Madahir, that a ma'soom imam who is hujjatullah fil ardh, this imam who has ilm of everything, is calling Habib a faqih and a scholar. He writes to him, من حسين بن علي إلى رجل الفقيه حبيب بن مظاهر الأسدي أما بعد فقد نزلنا كربلاء وأنك تعلم قرابتي من رسول الله فإن أردت نصرتنا فاقدم إلينا فإن أردت نصرتنا فاقدم إلينا. Imam al-Hussein says to him, we have reached the land of Karbala, yani second Muharram. And you, Ya Habib, know my position in regards to Rasulullah. For if you wish to provide us with victory and assist us, then come towards us. Hadith says, Habib ibn Madahir looks at the letter. He's under house arrest, but he wants to leave. So Habib is with his wife. He tests his wife. Because if you are now going to escape house arrest and you are under vigilance by your own tribe members, at the very minimum you need the support of your wife who is inside of your house. So Habib is making these calculations. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Little bit quiet. Habib ibn Madahir is making calculations on how he is going to make this move to reach Karbala. So the first thing Habib does is he tests his wife. He says to his wife says, who is the letter from? The wife says, the wife asks him, who is the letter from? Habib says, I have received the letter from Sayyid al-Shuhada wa Sayyid Shabab Ahl al-Jannah Husayn ibn Ali. She says, the grandson of Rasulullah wrote you a letter? He says, yes. She says, and what does he want from you? Habib says, Sayyid al-Shuhada Abu Abdullah wants me to go and help him and fight with him in Karbala. She looks at him, she says, and what's your response? What's your decision? Habib ibn Madahir is testing her. So Habib ibn Madahir says, I'm scared to go and join Hussein in Karbala. Because if I go join him, I am scared that not only will I get killed, but my house will be demolished. Our house will be demolished. Our wealth will be plundered and you will be taken as a prisoner. Look at how Habib is testing his wife. He's testing his wife by saying that we are going to lose everything that is important to a wife, because house, wealth, and companionship with the husband is a form of security. So in essence, Habib was asking her, are you ready that if I go into the battlefield, your house will be demolished, you will be taken as a prisoner, you will become a widow. Are you ready for this imtihan? Habib ibn Madahir's wife says, if this is the case, then let Ibn Ziyad do what he wants, for I am ready to undertake this difficulty and this trial and tribulation. Habib was not satisfied with the answer, so he tested her with one more question. Habib ibn Madahir says to her, I have now become old. I was in revolution with Muslim ibn Aqil. We got people abandoned us. In this age, what am I going to do? The Maqtal mentions, when he said this, the wife of Habib ibn Madahir began to cry. As she began to cry, she looked up towards the heavens and she said, Ya Allah, I wish that you had created me as a man so that I could have helped Abu Abdullah. And it is over here that Habib ibn Madahir understood and was fully convinced of the loyalty and the wilaya of his wife. And it is from here that Habib ibn Madahir now left the city of Kufa to go towards Karbala, knowing fully well that his wife is supporting him, and she supported him in how to come out of the house and leave towards Kufa. This ahibba'i shows us the environment of wilaya and the aqidah that needs to be inside a household. The atmosphere within the house when it comes to the wilaya of Ali Muhammad. And to be very honest, this stance of Habib ibn Madahir is actually credit to his father Madahir. You know why? Because on the day of Ashura, Habib ibn Madahir had two other brothers who were shaheed with him in Karbala. One by the name of Yazid ibn Madahir and the other by the name of Ali ibn Madahir. Ali ibn Madahir, on the night of Ashura, as you all know, Imam al-Hussein gathered his companions and he praised them and he said to them that I know there is no better companions than you in the rest of the world. And he then said to the companions that you have fulfilled your duty towards me and you have fulfilled your responsibility and your loyalty, and I give you permission in the darkness of the night to leave. Those of you who have come with your families and your children and your wives, take your wives and your children in the cover of the night, because if you get killed, they are going to be taken as prisoners. The Imam is telling them, go, and I will still give you Jannah. These 72 were not interested in Jannah. For them, Jannah was Husain alayhi salam. So Ali ibn Madahir, when he heard this, Habib ibn Madahir's brother Ali went into the khaymaga, the tent of his wife, and he said to her, Sayyid al-Shuhada has told us that all of us are going to be killed and that the women are going to be taken prisoners, and he has given us a choice of whether to stay or go. So she asked him, Ali, what will you do? Ali ibn Madahir says, I have decided that I am going to stay and I am going to become shaheed. However, I am now requesting you to leave Karbala in the darkness of the night. Go from Karbala. I am going to get killed tomorrow. You go, return back to your family. You have a life ahead of you. Get remarried. And you have an entire dream. Your life's hopes and dreams you will be able to fulfill. Go. I give you my blessings. Do you know what the wife of Ali ibn Madahir said? She began to cry in the khaymaga. Do you know what her answer was? She looked at her husband. She said, Ali, you have not done justice to me. By you suggesting that I leave Karbala on the night of Ashura, you didn't do justice to me. She says to Ali, you will become shaheed with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein tomorrow. And you will be in Jannah with Hussein, and you will be in Jannah with Rasulullah. How do you want me to leave and leave Zainab alone? How do you want me to live a life of happiness when Zainab is going to be taken prisoner? With what face will I stand in front of Sayyida Zahra on the day of judgment? She said to Ali ibn Madahir, absolutely not! I will not leave. If Zainab will be taken prisoner, I will be prisoner with her. Hi, Ahibbai. This is the joy and the atmosphere of Aqidah and the Wilaya in the household of Habib ibn Madahir and the family of Habib ibn Madahir. Stances that change the course of human history. It is stances like those by people like them that today you and I have a religion and a deen. And hence, I say with all humbleness and all respect, never, never fall short in your azadari on the nights of Habib ibn Madahir and every companion. We owe them a lot beyond what we can imagine. For you find that Habib ibn Madahir tested his family and left the city of Kufa until he got towards Karbala. Historians mention he reached Karbala on the 6th of Muharram. And when Habib ibn Madahir reached Karbala and he saw the very few companions of Imam al-Husayn, the next achievement of Habib ibn Madahir, when he saw the very few companions of Imam al-Husayn, he said to him, Ya Aba Abdullah, do you give me permission? I would like to go to a village that is nearby Karbala, and there are people from my tribe, Bani Asad, who live there. Perhaps I can convince them to join you and join the party of Haqq. Imam al-Husayn gives him permission. This is a few days before Ashura. Habib ibn Madahir goes to the settlement. His own tribesmen, Bani Asad, he speaks to them and he says to them, my people, my community, I have come to you with good news, and I have come to you with an opportunity. If you embrace my message and you embrace this opportunity, you will be from amongst those who will gain the sharaf of the dunya before the akhirah. Join me and join my master Aba Abdullah al-Husayn. The Maqtal mentions he convinced 90 people from his tribe to come and join Imam al-Husayn. This is happening when? 7th of Muharram. The tribes, 90 people together with Habib ibn Madahir, leave the settlement. They are coming towards the Furat to join the camp of Imam al-Husayn. One of the spies of Umar ibn Sa'ad gets information that Habib ibn Madahir is recruiting people. The Maqtal mentions Umar ibn Sa'ad al-La'in sent a contingency of 400 horsemen armed to the teeth to go and fight these people and prevent them from reaching the camp of Imam al-Husayn. Refer back to the Maqtal al-Mukarram, they say, فَإِقْتَتَلُوا قِتَالًا شَدِيدًا. Habib ibn Madahir was involved in an intense and a ferocious war. But 400 people overpowered the 90. And they were forced to retreat, and Habib ibn Madahir came back to the Khaymaga. He told Imam al-Husayn what has happened, and Sayyid al-Shuhada said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The final contribution of, or the stance of Habib ibn Madahir that I would like to discuss before we enter into Masa'ib Ahibba'i, is the courage and the jihad and the war of Habib ibn Madahir on the day of Ashura. On the day of Ashura, Salatul Fajr, Imam Ali al-Akbar recites the Adhan. The companions stand behind Imam al-Husayn, and Sayyid al-Shuhada leads Salatul Fajr, Jama'ah. And as soon as they complete the Salatul Fajr, Imam al-Husayn now arranges his companions and his men in a battle format. They divided them into 3 divisions. The center flank of the army, which is the heart of the army, was made up of the Bani Hashim, and the commander of the Bani Hashim and the entire army, the flag bearer, Maulana Qamar Bani Hashim, Abul Fadl Abbas. On the right wing, the commander of the right wing was Zuhair ibn Aqil, and the commander of the left wing was Habib ibn Madahir. Now inshallah, on the night of where we commemorate the Shahadat of Maulana Qamar Bani Hashim, he'll explain to you what happened in the war and how Imam al-Husayn's army actually fought on the day of Ashura. Linno, keep in mind, you have 72 men, or just a little over 100 men, because some people joined the tents and the camps of Imam al-Husayn on the night of Ashura. They came away from the army of Yazid and Umar ibn Sa'ad and they changed sides. In any case, you have these 100-odd men who have held back an army of over 30,000 immediately fighting in Karbala. Battle started after Salatul Fajr, khutbah has happened, but Imam al-Husayn became shaheed at the time of Asr, yani an hour before Salatul Maghrib, for almost over 12 to 14 hours. How did a group of 72 men defend the Khaymaga against over 30,000 people? This is strategy and warfare that was implemented by Sayyid al-Shuhada and Abul Fadl. Inshallah, if we get on chance on the night of Abul Fadl, we'll discuss this. But Imam al-Husayn arranged the army in 3 divisions. The center flank led by Abul Fadl, which is the core and the central command of the army, the heart of the army. And then you had the right wing with Zuhair ibn Aqil, and the left wing managed and led by Habib ibn Madahir. The Maqtal mentions on the day of Ashura, because there was a mixture between single combats, dual combats, people went 4 on 4, and then there was an attack on the right wing and an attack on the left wing. And then there was an overall attack. The Maqtal mentions that on the day of Ashura, the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad attacked the left wing that was led by Habib ibn Madahir at least 2 times. The first time, the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad was led by Amr ibn Hajjaj. They attacked the left wing of Imam al-Husayn, but under the leadership of Habib ibn Madahir, the Maqtal says, فَإِقْتَتَلُوا سَاعَةً. They were engaged in an intense battle for an entire hour. And Amr ibn Hajjaj's contingency that attacked the side of Habib ibn Madahir was at the minimum made up of 4,000 horsemen. The Maqtal mentions that after, in fact I should not even say Maqtal, lest somebody thinks that we are exaggerating. Inside of Tariq Tabari, who's a mukhalif from the Amma, mentions for iqtatalu sa'atan. They were engaged in an entire hour of intense warfare, such that Habib ibn Madahir forced the enemy ranks to withdraw and to retreat. The narrators mention when the dust settled down, because you're fighting in a desert, when the horses are running in every direction and spears and swords, the dust rises. The historians mention when the dust settled down, we saw Muslim ibn Aqil has become shaheed. This was in the first attack of the left wing. And then, hours later, Shimr bin Dhil Jawshan al-La'in attacked the left wing of Imam al-Husayn for a second time. So the first time the left wing was attacked by Amr ibn Hajjaj, la'anatullah alayh. The second time the left wing was attacked by Shimr bin Dhil Jawshan. The Maqtal narrates that the second time Shimr attacked the left wing of Imam al-Husayn, which was being led and managed by Habib ibn Madahir, the narrations mention, these are the exact words from the text of the Maqtal, فَثَبَتُوا لَهُمْ فَاكْتَشَفُوهُمْ, meaning that when Shimr bin Dhil Jawshan attacked the rank of Habib bin Madahir, not only did Habib and his men remain steadfast, yani defense, not only did they remain steadfast, but the Maqtal says, فَاكْتَشَفُوهُمْ. La ilaha illallah. Not only did they remain steadfast, Habib bin Madahir actually went into a mode of attack. You know what iktashafu mean? Iktashafuhum means not only did he remain steadfast, he went into a mode of attack that actually exposed the weaknesses in the ranks of Shimr bin Dhil Jawshan, forcing them to retreat. How many men were under the command of Habib bin Madahir? Not more than 40, not more than 30. An entire contingency of 1,000 men were sent out. The best form of defense is attack. How did they come to this level? This is that aqidah that they had inside of him. It's that love of Ali Muhammad, that love of Amirul Mu'mineen that he had inside of him. In fact, my humble conclusion is that when you analyze the heroics and the stances of this great grand warrior Habib bin Madahir and what he achieved from a military perspective on the battlefield despite the numbers being against them, my humble opinion is that everything you see from the grand heroics of Habib bin Madahir is actually a fadila from the fadail of Amirul Mu'mineen, because Habib bin Madahir learned how to be a warrior under the guidance of Amirul Mu'mineen. And it is only somebody who is a student of Asadullah al-Ghalib Ali ibn Abi Talib that can take back an army of 1,000 people and make them retreat despite being hungry and thirsty for 3 days. Wilaya gives you strength. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Wilaya and the love of Amirul Mu'mineen puts a strength inside of your heart and brings out within you powers that you never imagined you would possess within your core. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Hibai Masa'ib, Habib bin Madahir. And after all the jihad that Habib bin Madahir did on the day of Ashura, defending the left wing from the army of Imam al-Husayn and protecting the khaymaga of the women, a number of the companions of Imam al-Husayn became shaheed. And the war continued until the time of Salatul Dhuhr. Allah, the sun is overhead. As they are engaged in battle, Abu Thumama looks at Imam al-Husayn. He says to him, Ya Abu Abdullah, it seems to me that the sun is overhead and the time of Salatul Dhuhr has set in. Imam al-Husayn looks up towards the heavens. He looks up towards the sky. He then looks at Abu Thumama and he says to him, indeed it is the time of Salatul Dhuhr. You remembered the Salat. May Allah make you from amongst those who are the Dhakireen. Imam al-Husayn, in the Maqtal it mentions, in Kitabul Ma'ali it mentions that for Salatul Dhuhr, Imam al-Husayn gave the adhan by himself in the Maidan. Allahu Akbar. As he gave the adhan, the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad began to circle in. So Imam al-Husayn cried out to him, O Umar ibn Sa'ad, anasayta shara'i al-Islam, have you forgotten the rules of engagement when it comes to Islam? It is now the time of Salat. Why don't you impose a temporary cease such that we can recite our Salat and you can recite your Salat? When Imam al-Husayn said this, one of the enemies by the name of Hasin ibn Numair came and he shouted shouted at Imam al-Hussein. He said to him, Ya Hussein, recite as much salat as you want, because your salat shall never be accepted by Allah. Allah, Allah. When Habib ibn Madahir heard this, he could not take this. He could not accept that somebody insult Imam al-Hussein and his Mawla in this manner. So Habib ibn Madahir stood up and he said, O Hasin, O son of that adulteress, do you think that your salat will be accepted and the salat of Ali Muhammad is not accepted? Hasin then said, Oh Habib, if you speak so much and you feel you have so much courage and you are on the right path, come and face me in battle. Habib ibn Madahir said, surely I will do. Habib ibn Madahir then turned towards Sayyid al-Shuhada Abu Abdullah. He said to him, Yabna Rasulullah, I do not want your salat to be delayed because of people like these. So I ask you permission. Let me enter into the battlefield and I will recite salat with your grandfather in Jannah. And if I reach the heavens before you, Ya Abu Abdullah, I will give your salams to your grandfather, to your father, and to your brother Hasan al-Mujtaba, and we shall meet together in Jannah. The narrations mention that Imam al-Hussein began to weep and cry. He then embraced Habib ibn Madahir. He hugged him and he gave him permission. The narrations mention that Habib ibn Madahir embarked upon his horse and he went into the Maidan like a raging lion. He then engaged in battle with Hasin ibn Numair. The narrations mention that Habib ibn Madahir struck the horse of Hasin ibn Numair. So Hasin fell off the horse. When Habib ibn Madahir was looking at him, the coward that he was, Hasin ibn Numair ran away from the battlefield. So Habib ibn Madahir, when he ran away, Habib ibn Madahir was in the battlefield and he called out, is there anyone who has enough courage to come and attack me or to come and face me inside of challenge? The narrations mention that the kuffar began coming in their ones and twos, and Habib ibn Madahir performed the jihad that was Alawi from the students of Amirul Mu'mineen like a raging lion. He sent 62 of the kuffar to Jahannam wa bi'sal masir. No one was willing to stand in front of Habib ibn Madahir. So he began to recite a poem saying, Ana Habibun wa Abi Madahir. I am Habib and my father is Madahir. Fursanul Hayaja wa Laythun Qasur. We are the bravest warriors of this land and we are raging lions. You may have the numbers, but we are more loyal to you and more courageous than you. The narrations mention then Habib ibn Madahir attacked the right wing of the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad. Like a ferocious lion, he began to attack them. The Maqtal says, فَقَتَلَ مَقْتَلَةً عَظِيمًا. He sent a number of them to Jahannam wa bi'sal masir. Umar ibn Sa'ad then said, you cannot face this man on by yourselves, so attack him from every direction. As Habib ibn Madahir entered into the heart of the army, they surrounded him. The narrations mention one of the la'in by the name of Budail. He came and he struck Habib ibn Madahir with a sword on the head. Allah, Allah. Habib ibn Madahir's head and Habib ibn Madahir's face is covered with blood. The Maqtal mentions when they struck him on the head, Habib fell down to the ground, but then he looked towards the Khaymaga. He saw Imam al-Hussein. He saw the children of Imam al-Hussein. So he gathered all his strength. Habib ibn Madahir stood up again. He held his sword saying, I shall defend Hussein ibn Ali. As he stood up, another one of the la'in came. They pierced the chest of Habib with a spear. The Maqtal says, فَتَعَنَهُ فِي صَدْرِهِ. They pierced him in the chest with a spear and they removed the spear from the back. Habib ibn Madahir fell down to the ground for a second time. As he fell down, Habib was on his knees. He was trying to stand up for a third time. So that coward by the name of Hasin came and he struck Habib a second time on the head with a sword. Wa Habiba! Habib ibn Madahir background, the Maqtal mentions that two of them began to stab Habib in the neck until they beheaded Habib ibn Madahir. Allah, Allah, the Maqtal mentions Imam al-Hussein came running towards Habib. The Maqtal says, فَبَانَ الْإِنْكِسَارَ عَلَى وَجْهِ الْحُسَيْنِ. Imam al-Hussein was overcome with grief and with pain. His heart was hurting so much, it was apparent on his face. The Maqtal mentions they all sat down, Imam al-Hussein with the remaining companions, and by the side of Imam al-Hussein was Abul Fadl al-Abbas. Imam al-Hussein is weeping on the janazah of Hur. The Maqtal mentions that Abul Fadl was comforting Imam al-Hussein. I say, Ya Aba Abdullah, when Habib died, Abbas was comforting you. But when Abbas will be killed, who is going to comfort Imam al-Hussein? Oh, Madluma, Batame Hussein, Batame Habib.
یہ ختم شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ ختم شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ ختم شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. ختم شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. تمہارا دوست ہے تنہا, تمہارا دوست ہے تنہا, حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ ختم شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ ختم شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. شاہد کیسے ہوا وہ بتاؤ گے آ کر, تم حال مسلم بے کس سناؤ گے آ کر. رقیہ تک ہے راستہ, رقیہ تک ہے راستہ, حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ ختم شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ ختم شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. لگاؤ اس سے بھی اندازے میری غربت کے, جہاں پہ ابن علی لکھنا تھا وہاں میں نے دیا ہے ماں کا حوالہ, دیا ہے ماں کا حوالہ. حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ ختم شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ ختم شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. وہ جب یہ سنتی ہے کوفے سے آ رہے ہیں شوقی, تو پوچھتی ہے ہمارا بھی آئے گا کوئی. دعائیں دے گی سکینہ, دعائیں دے گی سکینہ, حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ ختم شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ خط میں شاہ نے کہا حبیب آ جاؤ. گوارا کر نہیں سکتی حسین کی غیرت, تمہاری زوجہ کی چادر کو لوٹ لے او مات. تم اس کو چھوڑے کے کوفہ, تم اس کو چھوڑے کے کوفہ, حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ خط میں شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ خط میں شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. مجھے ہے یاد وہ لمحہ جو رب کی مرضی سے تم ہو کے زندہ میری بات سننے آئے تھے. بولا رہا ہوں دوبارہ, بولا رہا ہوں دوبارہ, حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ خط میں شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ خط میں شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. دارِ بطول دوبارہ جلایا جائے گا, تمہارے دوست پہ خنجر چلایا جائے گا. نہیں ہے وقت زیادہ, نہیں ہے وقت زیادہ, حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ خط میں شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ خط میں شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. چمکتے چاند کی ہم کو بھی دید ہو جائے, تم آؤ تو میرے بچوں میں عید ہو جائے. بہت اداس ہے کنبہ, بہت اداس ہے کنبہ, حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ خط میں شاہ نے لکھا حبیب آ جاؤ. یہ خط میں شاہ نے لکھا.
یا حسین, یا حسین, یا حسین.
محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے, محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے. ابھی دور کربلا ہے, ابھی دور کربلا ہے, ابھی دور کربلا ہے, عباس جو زندہ ہے. اس نوری کارواں میں نوری ہماریاں ہے, نوری ہماریوں میں نوری سواریاں ہے, نوری سواریاں ہے. سر پہ علم کھلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے. ابھی دور کربلا ہے, ابھی دور کربلا, ابھی دور کربلا ہے, عباس جو زندہ ہے. نام محرموں کا مجمع ہٹ ہٹ کے ہے گزرتا, پہرے میں باوفا کے طے ہو رہا ہے رستہ, طے ہو رہا ہے رستہ. کیا شان و دبدبا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے زینب حیا کی ملکہ کلثوم اور رقیہ لیلا رباب فروا کبرا سکینہ فضا کبرا سکینہ فضا ہر بی بی باردہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے عباس جیسا بھائی سالار کارواں ہے بولے حسین مجھ کو اب کوئی غم کہاں ہے اب کوئی غم کہاں ہے ہر غم کی یہ دوا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے اصغر سے کھیلتی ہے خوش ہے بہت سکینہ جب چاہتی ہے سونا ہے بابا جا کا سینہ ہے بابا جا کا سینہ غم سے نہ آشنا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے
یا حسین اللہم صلی علی محمد
اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان اللعین الرجیم بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم السلام علیکہ یا رسول اللہ السلام علیکہ یا امیر المؤمنین السلام علیکہ یا سید فاطمة الزہرا سیدت نساء العالمین السلام علیکہ یا سیدہ ام المؤمنین خدیجۃ الکبریٰ السلام علیکہ یا امام حسن المجتبی السلام علیکہ یا مولانا یا ابا عبداللہ الحسین المظلوم المقتول بأرض کربلا السلام علیکہ وعلی الارواح التي حلت بفنائک لا سیما مولانا ابو الفضل العباس السلام علیکن یا سبایا اہل بیت النبوہ لا سیما سیدہ زینب الکبریٰ السلام علیکم یا ائمۃ الہداۃ و ولاۃ امر اللہ امام علی زین العابدین و امام محمد الباقر و امام جعفر الصادق و امام موسیٰ الکاظم و امام علی الرضا و امام محمد الجواد و امام علی الحادی و امام حسن العسکری السلام علیکم یا مولانا یا صاحب الامر والزمان القائم الحجة المہدی اللہم عجل لولینا الفرج واجعلنا من انصاره واشیائه ومن المستشهدین بین یدی وبحقه اللہم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وتقبل منا وبحقه اللہم اشفی مرضانا وارحم موتانا برحمتک یا ارحم الراحمین